Genetics is the study of how traits. So when you are talking about a trait, you are simply talking about something, a characteristic, something that shows that this is how this person is. So genetics is a study of how traits are passed from parents to offsprings. For example, why is it that you might have, let's say, short hair, blue eyes? All those are traits which you are going to get from your parents. So the study of how those traits are going to be passed from parents to offsprings is genetics. So genetics is very important for us to study because it helps us to understand also some family diseases, genetic diseases. For example, you see that in this family, sickle cell anemia is always there. Okay, like it is always transferred. So you look at what we call sex linked characteristics, hemophilia. Some sicknesses you are going to find them, they attach on sex cells. So they are going to be transferred from parents to offsprings. Now, you know that, let me talk about a male and a female here. So for you to have a child, you are going to have first a relationship between a male and a female, you know that. Okay, so here what happens is that I'm talking about the passing on of characteristics from parents to offsprings. So these traits I'm talking about, or characteristics, they're going to be passed from parents to offsprings through genes. Okay, so genes are carriers of information from parents to offsprings. Now these genes are basically coming from DNA. So DNA is a unit which carries information. DNA, this represents deoxyribonucleic acid. It is that part of a person which gets to carry information, okay, from the parents to to offsprings. Now DNA itself is not the one which is going to transfer. So this one stores the information. Okay, so DNA is is a storage site of information. So for example, what is going to talk about you being tall or short is DNA. It is the one which is going to store that information that this person is tall. And then you are going to see it physically that this person is tall. But firstly, it is in DNA. And then let's say someone has blue eyes, it's first going to be in DNA that this person has got blue eyes, and then you are going to see it physically that this person has got blue eyes. Are we moving together? Okay, so now let's say someone asks you to say what is DNA. So DNA is a molecule that carries, is a molecule that stores genetic information. Take note of that. DNA is a molecule that stores information. Okay, that is DNA. Now, what is a gene? Because I also mentioned a gene here. What is a gene? So a gene is a basic unit of heredity which is passed on from parents to offsprings. So basic unit of heredity, when I'm talking about this word heredity, I'm just talking about passing information from parents to offsprings. So the unit that you are going to pass from parents to offsprings, that is what we call a gene. So what is a gene? Basic unit of heredity. Yes, basic unit of heredity, which is passed from parents to offsprings. That's a trait. A trait is a characteristic, like what that thing that you are passing from parents to offsprings. For example, uh, blue eye color, or let's me say blood group A. The parents have got blood group A. That is a trait. Okay. Now this trait is actually carried on a gene. So for you to pass this trait, it has to be passed through a gene, like it is found on a gene, and then it is going to be passed from the parents to the offsprings. Is that okay? A molecule that stores hereditary information. Hereditary information, or the information that you are going to pass from parents to children or offsprings. Now, these genes we are talking about, remember, for you to pass information from a parent to an offspring, what is going to do this? What does this work? Mhm. All right. So we are saying characteristics or traits are going to be passed from parents to offsprings, that is through a gene. Okay, so we have said a gene is a basic unit of heredity. Now, how is this really, like how is this? So what it is that you have got first DNA. This DNA is going to fold. Okay, it's going to fold. So DNA is just a molecule. So it can be something like it's just a molecule. Now DNA connects with other DNA molecules to form a long chain. So what you are going to see is that you are going to have one chain like this. This is a molecule of DNA like that. So you have got one side and the other side. So this thing you are able to see here is DNA. So DNA is going to fold, like it folds very much, and so what you are going to see is because it folds a lot, you are just going to see something like this. So when DNA gets to fold together, and then it's going to be folding around certain proteins, like you have got a protein here and then DNA starts to fold around this protein like that. So when that happens, you are going to form a chromosome. Okay, so what is a chromosome? A chromosome is simply DNA that is wrapped or folded around a protein. DNA that is folded around a protein. So this is one chromosome. Chromosomes are the ones which actually carries the information that is transferred from parents to offsprings. How is this? So this chromosome has got different parts. So I'll draw it again. This is a chromosome. So you might find that for this chromosome,
What is the identify chromosome?
at a
What is the identify chromosome?
chromosome is a molecule that is made up of DNA which is folded around a protein or around proteins. Is that okay?
What is all pagaras?
A molecule made of DNA which is folded around proteins. So for this chromosome, it has got parts. So you see that at this part is talking about your eye color. To say this person should have an eye color of blue or brown. This part, let's say it's talking about your height. At another part is talking about, let's say, your body color. You should be dark or light. So these different parts that you're able to see, these are what we call genes. So a chromosome is the one which carries genes, which are going to be passed from parents to offsprings. So you are saying that genes are made up of DNA because a chromosome itself is made up of DNA. Now what happens is that before you get to carry these traits from your parents, you have got each human being. Each human being has got 23 pairs of chromosomes. Take note of that. 23 pairs of chromosomes. So because a human being has 23 pairs of chromosomes, we call them diploid. Now if I say a pair means there are two. So you have got 23 pairs, meaning that if you have got one pair, meaning that you have got two chromosomes on that. So multiply 23 by 2, meaning that each human being has got 46 chromosomes. So take note of this number. Each human being has 46 chromosomes. That is 23 pairs. So when you start counting the chromosomes, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, you continue to go like that. When you reach at 21, the 21st chromosome, this one is called a sex chromosome. So this chromosome is the one which is going to determine whether you are going to be a male or a female. These other chromosomes starting from 1 up to 20 and then 22 and 23, all these are just going to talk about the other body parts. For example, the color of your hair, the height you are going to have, the type of hair that you are going to have, and everything else. But the 21st chromosome is specifically to determine whether you are going to be a male or a female. That is why it is referred to as a sex chromosome. These other chromosomes are called autosomes, which are not sex chromosomes, they are called autosomes. Now remember, these are in pairs, meaning that one is going to be like this, and then another one. Remember, it's a pair, so this is how they are. So one is coming from your mother, the other one is coming from your father. Okay, so one is coming from the male, the other one is coming from the female. So this makes it 23 pairs. Now, for the sex chromosome, which is on 21, this chromosome, because it determines whether you are a male or a female, it is not a pair, it is just alone. Okay, this one is just alone. So other chromosomes starting from 1 to 20 and then 22 and 23, these are called diploid. Why are they diploid? Because they are 20, they have got, let me say, not these other chromosomes. I want to confuse also a word. So you have got cells in your body, right? You have got body cells, and then you have got sex cells in your body. So your whole body is just divided into body cells and sex cells. So body cells are also called somatic cells. Just take note of that word if you see it in one paper. Body cells are also called somatic cells. And then you have got sex cells. Now, body cells contain all these diploid number of chromosomes, meaning that body cells are going to contain 23 pairs, one coming from your mother, one chromosome coming from your mother, one chromosome coming from your father. But sex cells, these are called haploid. The meaning of that is, instead of you having diploid, means 46 chromosomes. Okay, it means 46 chromosomes. And then haploid means you only have 23 chromosomes. Please, it's not 23 pairs, only 23 chromosomes. So diploid are 46 chromosomes, meaning that there are 23 pairs. But these are only 23 chromosomes. So the word diploid, haploid means half, haploid, half. So sex cells only contain the half number of chromosomes. Are we going together?
Yes, yes.
So meaning that the first chromosomes, all somatic cells have 46 chromosomes, meaning that if you have got, this is your hand, you know your hand has got muscles. So a muscle is made up of cells. So meaning that these cells which are in your muscles have got 46 chromosomes. If you talk about, let's say your stomach has got cells. The cells in the stomach also have got 46 chromosomes. Now if you go to your sex organs like your tests, those are sex organs, right? Sex. So the cells which are found in these sex organs, those which we call sex cells, instead of them having 46 chromosomes, they're only going to have 23 chromosomes. So we call them haploid. And then these, we call them diploid. Okay, like that. And this is what is going to be happening for you to get to to be born the way you are. So because the sex cells in our bodies, we call them gametes. What are gametes? Gametes are simply sex cells. So from a man, the gametes we have are sperms, and then from a female, call them the ovum, the egg. Okay, so what happens is that this sex cell from a man fuses with a sex cell from a woman. What you are going to form, before you form something, when a sperm fuses with an ovum, fertilization is going to happen. So what is fertilization? Fertilization is just a coming together of a male sex cell with a female sex cell, and then what you are going to form is a zygote. Okay, so when a sperm comes together with an ovum, in other words, an ovum is fertilized by a sperm, you are going to form a zygote. When this zygote starts to grow in the womb of a woman, it's going to form an embryo. So as the embryo gets to grow, by 9 months, it's going to now come as a baby. So this is what gets to happen. Now remember, this is all starting from sex cells. So sperms are coming from tests, and then the ovum is coming from the ovaries in a woman, like that. Now sperms, because these are human sex cells, meaning that they only contain a diploid number, I mean a haploid number of chromosomes. They only contain 23 pairs of chromosomes. Even the ovum contains 23, not pairs, the word pair is wrong. 23 chromosomes. Even the ovum contains 23 chromosomes. So when you get to mix now a sperm and an ovum, now you're going to form 46 chromosomes in a baby. So you see that a baby has now the full amount of chromosome that it is supposed to have. So this is what gets to happen in this kind of process. And then you are going to have a baby with 46 chromosomes, right? So this is the process that gets to happen. So now how do you get to determine like the sex of a child? How are you going to determine the sex of a child? So I can ask you to write a diagram, a genetic diagram, to explain the probability of the children that you are going to give birth to. So the first thing, remember I said you have got genes. Genes are carriers of information, right? These are carriers of information. Now these carry information, you cannot see it. These genes are going to talk about you. Mwanza is going to be tall. So they have just said, I am going to be tall, but I can't see that. So that gives us what we call a genotype. So genotype is the information that is carried in a gene of how a person is going to be. So the gene is saying I'm supposed to be tall. But for me to know that I'm actually tall, the genes, I'm now going to see them physically. That will give me now what we call phenotype. So phenotype is a physical appearance of an individual. Genotype is the genetic makeup of an individual. So genotype is just telling you this person is going to have brown eyes. Now you can't see genotype, like you can't see DNA. So for you to be able to see that the genotype is talking about this person having brown eyes, we are now going to see the phenotype. That is now physically you see that this person has got brown eyes. Okay, so that is what it gets to happen. So you have got a gene. Yes.
Tunga a quick question to differentiate between genotype and phenotype. What's the
G-
process?
Genotype is a genetic makeup of an organism. Phenotype is the physical appearance of an organism. Physical appearance. Is that okay?
Good.
So just in the genotype, You can have, let's say, from your mother, you have gotten a gene. Remember, you have got a chromosome. Now, a chromosome is something like this. One is coming from your mother, one is coming from your father. So, this one here, this is a gene at this point. From your mother, it is saying you need to be tall. And then from your father, it is saying you need to be short. Okay? So, you have got two genes. One saying you need to be tall, one saying you need to be short. Now, the one which is stronger is the one which you are going to see. So, if you are short, it means that the gene for being short is stronger than the one for being tall. If you are tall, it means that the one for being tall is stronger. Now, these different forms of a gene, you can see the same gene, it is all talking about height, but one is saying tall, one is saying short. So, different forms of a gene, we call them alleles. Alleles. What are alleles? Alleles are alternative forms of a gene. Alternative just means different. So alternative forms of a gene. So a gene is talking about your height, but alleles are going to talk about whether you are going to be tall or be short, like that. So what you are going to do is you are going to get one allele from your father and then one allele from your mother, the one which is stronger. So to be strong, now in genetics we use dominant. The one which is dominant is the one which you are going to be able to see. So if you see that you are tall, then being tall is dominant. And the one which is not seen, we call it recessive. So if you are not short, then it means that the allele for being short is recessive. So the alleles for which are recessive, you use small letters. For example, you are going to use small t, meaning that it's recessive. Then you are going to use capital T, meaning that it's dominant. Okay, so this is how you are able to show these alleles. Now let's say your mother is tall, your father is short, and then the allele for being tall is dominant. Are you going to be tall or be short? You want to use a genetic diagram. So the first thing that you are going to write is a parental phenotype. What do we mean by phenotype? The physical appearance. Is your mother and father short or tall? So you can say tall mother, and then you are crossing with a short father. So that is the parental phenotype, physical appearance. And then you are going to have the parental genotype. Now, what is the genetic makeup of your parents? If your mother is tall, for being tall, remember you have got alleles. This allele capital T is talking about you being tall. Even your mother, she has parents, so she had also one allele from her mother and then one allele from her father. So she could have had this or she could have had this. So when you have got two capital T's, it means you are going to be tall because both are dominant. If you have got one capital T and one small t, you are still going to be tall. Okay? So let's say your mother is. Now if you have got one capital T and one small t, you are still tall, but you call this as heterozygous. Heterozygous, meaning that you have got different alleles. But when you have got capital T and you have capital T, this is still tall, but this is called homozygous. Homo just means same, and then zygous just means same alleles. So let's say your mother is heterozygous, meaning it's going to be capital T and then small t, and then put a cross. The only way you can be short if both alleles are recessive. Recessive means small t's, okay, like that. These are the alleles of your father. After you do this, remember before these two come together, a male and a female, that is going to be through sex cells. That is going to be through the sperms and the ovum. So that will take us now to form gametes. Okay, gametes. So in gametes, what is going to happen is that these are going to split. The capital T the small t is going to split for here. Don't put it cross, don't put a cross here. And then you are going to have small t and then small t. You just put them like this because this one is in the egg, these two are in the eggs, and then this is in sperms. Okay, like two different sperms like that. So what is going to happen is now fertilization is going to happen. So you are now going to perform a cross. So this one can cross with this, or this one can cross with this, or this one can cross with this, or this one can cross with this. So if this t crosses with this small t, we are going to have capital T, small t. If this same t crosses with this small t, you are still going to have capital T, small t. And then you have got this small t with this small t. Look at how the arrows are going, or these lines are going. So we are going to have small t, and then even here small t, small t. So what is happening is that here there is fertilization happening. Now these things you are able to see here. Whenever you see letters, letters represent a genotype, a genetic makeup. Okay, so this is now going to be the child. So the first child, we call them the F1, meaning filial, first offspring. So this one is going to be called F1 because these are letters that are representing the genetic makeup, so that will be the F1 genotype. F1 genotype. Now just make sure that you underline this unless it has changed. Make sure you underline F1 genotype when you are writing a genetic diagram because it always carries 5 marks or 6 marks. Now after you determine the F1 genotype and then now determine the F1 phenotype. So if you see this one, every time when there is a capital T, then it means that that person is going to be tall. Even here there is a capital T, the person is going to be tall. These are only small t's, meaning this is going to be short, even this is going to be short. So meaning that if you have got children, the chance of having someone tall, you can see if this person has got 4 children, so the chance of being tall, the chance, this is just chance. It's not like you are going to have 2 children and two tall children and 2 short children. No. So the chance of you having a tall child is going to be 2 out of 4, meaning that it's going to be 1/2. So meaning that every time this couple gives birth to children, the chance of that child being tall is going to be 1/2. And the chance of that child being short, you can see the short ones are also 2/4. So the chance is also 1/2, meaning that is 50% also. So this is how you write a genetic diagram to show the offsprings.